But now there's another problem. And the other problem is that when you're way up on your tiptoes like that, and your heels aren't hitting the ground when you run, it's a huge load on the calves, and therefore also a huge load and strain on the Achilles tendon here. Hey everybody, today the topic of choice is going to be foot strike positions. And the reason I chose this is that so often I'm dealing with my personal training clients who undertake running for their cardiovascular activity, and they come back complaining of sore lower back, achy hips, sore knees, and Achilles tendonitis. And oftentimes this is primarily a result of poor foot striking. And if you haven't evaluated your foot strike pattern, you might be leaving yourself vulnerable to these painful conditions without even knowing it. So in this video, we're gonna do a quick test to determine what your foot strike pattern is, and we're gonna teach you how to adjust it optimally to ensure that you feel good, you feel strong, and you're continuing to run pain-free. Okay, so the first test we're gonna do is gonna be a little bit awkward, but it's really just to prove a point here. And what I want you to do is stand tall and try to lift your toes off the ground, and from there you're gonna try to do some jumping. Okay, again, it's gonna be a little awkward and you're gonna see why real soon. So again, from here, on your heels, trying to jump. Okay, you're gonna notice two things. Number one, you're not gonna be able to get very high. And the reason for that is you're not loading the foot correctly to create very much propulsion. The number two reason is what you should have seen is that as you land on your heels, you should feel a lot of jarring. Okay, you should feel a lot of impact coming up through your connective chain and into your joints. And oftentimes that's the reason for the wear and tear. As I was doing that jump there, I could particularly feel it in my hips and my lower back. And again, my whole body was kind of shaking as I tried to absorb that impact. Now, where that translates to is if you're a heel striker, and the studies show that 90% of the people that are out there running are running on their heels. Okay, and there are some times that it's okay to run on your heels. If you're headed downhill and you need to brake before you make a turn, then of course you're gonna be on your heels. But if you're heel striking over and over and over again for the hundreds and thousands of steps involved in a run, you're basically applying the gas and the brakes at the same time, and you're fighting yourself on every stride. So if you're reaching too far out, you can see that heel's gonna strike and send a lot of force up through the chain. At the same time, this back foot's trying to push forward and push you through the step. So again, the gas and the brakes are being applied at the same time, and is not where you wanna be. You're fighting yourself, it's very inefficient, and again, the impact on your joints is gonna lead to a world of pain down the road. The next foot strike position that we have to address is the tippy toe foot position. Okay, you hear a lot of people say they're toe runners. Now I want you to perform the same test on your very, very tiptoes. Again, extreme tiptoes, and do the jump. Okay? Now this feels a little bit better. This feels stronger. I've got some spring in my step. I've got some shock absorption. I don't feel the jarring on my body. But now there's another problem. And the other problem is that when you're way up on your tiptoes like that, your heels aren't hitting the ground when you run. It's a huge load on the calves, and therefore also a huge load and strain on the Achilles tendon here. Now again, you may get away with that for a little while, but over time, as you put in your miles, mile after mile, that Achilles tendon is gonna get overworked, overstrained, and you're gonna have incredible pain that's gonna keep you from running. So we don't wanna be on the very tiptoes either. The third and most optimal position that we can land in when our foot strikes the ground is this mid-foot strike. And that's not gonna be on the very, very tiptoes, but right on the ball of the foot. And when you're on the ball of the foot, what you'll find is that you're loading that foot optimally so that all the tissues that are involved can absorb the impact and help you to propel forward. So you can see on the ball of the foot, just like if you're jumping rope, now I've got a lot of spring and I've got a lot of shock absorption, and I'm allowed to put a lot of force into the ground here very easily. This feels very comfortable. And that's where we want to be, okay, is that mid-foot strike. So we can utilize all the components and all the tissues that cross those joints to really create a stable platform to propel off of. Okay, so what you're gonna find is that if you're dealing with the achy low back, the sore hips, and the sore knees, then you're most likely striking with your heel. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna shift ever so slightly closer to that midfoot. Now, I don't want you going from one extreme to the other where you're all the way back on your heel and then you're shifting to your tiptoes. Just try to move that foot forward a little bit from the heel strike to, again, a little bit more of a midfoot strike. Now, on the opposite side of that, if you feel like you're dealing with Achilles tendonitis consistently or calf strains, you're gonna wanna shift from this tippy toe running more back toward your heel. Again, we're trying to fall into that midfoot area right here. Okay, and that's gonna take some of that strain off the Achilles tendon and the calves so you're not getting the breakdown there. Okay, so again, 3 different positions, 3 different foot strikes. We're really aiming for that midfoot strike as the optimal position. So do the tests, do the evaluations, see where you fall, and make the adjustments, and hopefully we can avoid any painful situations in the future. So there you have it. Hopefully that's a helpful video for you guys going forward. And click the like button, make sure you stay tuned. We're gonna be covering all sorts of topics in the days, weeks, and months ahead. Leave any comments, anything you wanna see covered in the comment section below, and we'll catch you on the other side. All right, you guys, see you out on the roads.